We'll take you now to some NFL injury report updates, and of course we start off with the biggest one, Earl Thomas, a lower leg fracture. Pete Carroll says he's going to go on IR. His season is over, and he'll be a free agent after the 2019 season. Was having a fantastic year for the Seahawks. Making plays in coverage, making plays against the run, was everything that everyone wants Earl Thomas to be. There's a reason why the Cowboys and Chiefs had interest in trading for Earl Thomas. Of course, that trade is no longer going to happen. Now in the secondary, Tedrick Thompson has to step up. And the Seahawks, yeah, you lose Earl Thomas. They were kind of prepared for this, though. They spent high picks on Thompson and Delano Hill as well. So they should be okay. And I think in reality, this is the last snap, or that was the last snap we'll ever see Earl Thomas play with the Seattle Seahawks. I think his time is done in Seattle. I think he's going to leave in free agency. And if you're Seattle, I don't think they even want to try to play the game of franchise tagging Earl Thomas, because he is never going to show up. So unless you can trade him, which I don't know if you even can, doesn't make sense to tag him. So I am typing in yes in the comment section. ET is done in Seattle. Speaking of Seattle, another injury report here. Will Dissly, and this one is a brutal one for Seattle. Maybe not quite as bad as ET, but Dissly suffered a torn patella. His season is over. It's another tough loss for Seattle with their receiving core that's been kind of banged up for a good portion of this year. Doug Baldwin coming off his own injury as well. Dissly, who was a run-blocking tight end through and through in Washington, suddenly became a good receiver for Seattle, so good job scouting on that end. But his season, unfortunately, is over. Seattle, thin at tight end with Ed Dixon also hurt. They're going to need to go get somebody else in free agency or even potentially through a trade. All right, more tight ends, quite a few of them actually this week. Tyler Eifert, and I feel so bad for Eifert. I feel absolutely terrible because he is always hurt. He can never stay healthy. When he's on the field, he's a fantastic player, one of the best tight ends, especially in the red zone in the NFL. But after that really nasty ankle injury, his season once again over. He'll keep getting one-year deals for cheap money because when he's on the field, he's great, but you cannot trust him to play all 16 games. It leaves Tyler Kroft as the next man up for the Bengals. C.J. Uzomah, Mason Schreck also on that depth chart there. They'll be okay. Kroft is a fine player in his own right. He's just not quite Tyler Eifert. All right, a big one here is Rob Gronkowski, and he suffered an ankle injury against the Dolphins. Might have been a re-aggravation because he was on the injury report before the game with an ankle injury. Listed as questionable for Sunday, or for the game coming up this week, Thursday night against the Colts. Should be able to play. The injury is thought to be a minor one, but do monitor that. That tight time frame in terms of a turnaround from Sunday to Thursday could be an issue for the Pats, who they need Gronk out there. They don't have enough red zone guys with Josh Gordon's not quite fully established yet. They need Gronk healthy. Also needed to be healthy is TY Hilton, because we'll get to their depth chart. It's a mess. But he suffered a hamstring injury against the Texans. Head coach Frank Reich says he doubts that TY Hilton is going to be able to go this week against the Patriots. And that brings up the Colts receiving core, and oh God, it's bad. You got Ryan Grant, you got Chester Rogers, Zach Pascal, and Marcus Johnson. Oh, man. And the tight ends, Eric Ebron can make some plays. Jack Doyle's also been banged up as of late. That's a big red flag if you're the Colts. So T.Y. Hilton, probably not going to play. I think that means for fantasy guys, bench Andrew Luck, because that receiving core is a mess. Today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code NFL120 for a 120% deposit bonus. You will not find a better deal out there. You put down $100, they'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220. You are literally playing with house money at chatsports.com/bet if you use promo code NFL120. All right, some more injuries here for Jacksonville. Fournette, again, banged up. And the hamstring injury is officially in the, is Fournette actually okay, or is this going to be an issue all year, maybe even next year? Doug Marrone is not sure how much time Fournette is going to miss. He said, well, if he missed 2 weeks last week, I'd assume he'll miss 2 weeks again this time. There's reason to be concerned here. Now, you want Fournette on the field, but the good news is the Jags have actually been okay without Fournette, and believe it or not, TJ Yeldon actually has a better yards per carry this year than Fournette. Now, I think that's also due to the nature of the stacked boxes that Fournette faces versus Yeldon, but this is concerning for Fournette and Jacksonville because you want him on the field. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about Fournette? Let me know in the comments section. I'll put it at a 5 or a 6 because he's your best offensive player. You kind of want him out there unless you want to rely more on Blake Bortles, which is not a good idea. All right, some more injuries here. Offensive line time. Joe Staley left the game with a knee injury. Don't have a lot of details on this one quite yet. I think it's going to be a minor one. Left the StubHub Center under his own power, no crutches, no walking boot. Niners need him out there because you don't want to play Gary and Gilliam. If you could make the Seahawks as an offensive lineman, you're probably just not a very good player. So Staley, I think, will be okay, but this is one to monitor for all you San Francisco 49ers fans out there. We'll stick in the Bay Area, again, on the offensive line. Donald Penn, hurt again. Now, he's been banged up at times this year, now suffered a strained groin against the Browns, had a concussion last week. Penn, frankly, hasn't been very good, probably because he's been so banged up. If Penn does miss more time, which might be the reality here, keep an eye out for Brandon Parker to be the next guy up. He was actually looked pretty good so far this year for a very raw player coming out of college. So Penn, banged up again. His time in Oakland, I think, is very much dwindling here. Speaking of the Raiders, they finally got that win they've been searching for. Almost blew another one in the fourth quarter. So after seeing the Raiders beat the Browns, how many games will Oakland win this year? Let me know in the comments section. I'm not willing to buy into them quite yet, but they did really need that win over the Browns because an 0-4 start would not have been good for the Raiders, obviously. All right, some more injuries. We'll get to the defense here. Kenny Vaccaro. He's been pretty good for the Titans. I like him quite a bit. He's a good player. I wanted the Cowboys to sign him because he would have been a great fit. Suffered what appeared to be scary at the time with his elbow injury. It's only a dislocation there. He's only going to miss 2 to 4 weeks. Now, the good news is it's a short period of time. The bad news is you already lost Jonathan Cyprien for the year. You signed Vaccaro to come help you out. Kendrick Lewis is the next strong safety. I would rather see Dane Cruikshank play some more because I know Lewis is not a very good football player. So Vaccaro's injury is worth monitoring. I don't think it's the end of the world for the Titans, but that could be a big impact on their defense. If you guys like this shirt that I'm wearing, go get one of your own at Mizzen and Main. Head to comfortable.af for the most comfortable dress shirt you will ever own. They're made in America. They keep you cool in the heat. They're made out of performance wear fabrics. Trust me, you will not have a more comfortable shirt, dress shirt or otherwise, than a Mizzen and Main one. All right, another injury here to break down. Terrence Mitchell, a broken forearm, could end his season. Suffered it, of course, against the Raiders. Actually had to be carted off the field. Naturally, did not return. He signed in free agency. Was actually doing a pretty good job for the Browns. Had an interception, a couple of forced fumbles this year, but he is now probably out for the season after the Browns defense had a rough go against the Oakland Raiders. Mitchell, his season likely over for Cleveland, a bit of a notable blow for them. And then one last injury here on the offensive side of the ball, O.J. Howard. He is going to miss time with a sprained MCL, just like Kenny Vaccaro, probably going to be in that 2 to 4 week range. The good news is for the Bucs, their bye is coming up. So if you're going to miss a week, you'd like it to be the bye week there. That means Cameron Brate will once again play the featured role as the really top tight end. Not that Howard isn't already, but he's going to get all the work with not having to split it with O.J. Howard, as Howard will miss 2 to 4 weeks.